Hello, honey. Welcome back to the show. We have my special guest, honey Lancaster-James, back on the show. I'm very, very well, thanks. How's yourself?
I'm good, thank you. Well as can be expected in these strange times, eh?
Yes, quite. Today we're discussing about how the COVID crisis has made families spend more time together to just have fun and has made us want to relive our youth, childhood, and we might even touch on a bit of reminiscence as well today's interview. Right,
Okay.
so I'm going to open up and ask you one of the key questions. Do we ever grow up or do we still have an inner child inside of us?
Well, we do have an inner child, really. We might not indulge that inner child very often, but we all do, really. I mean, one of the things that's come from this survey, so this survey was commissioned by Cadbury. They commissioned a survey of 2,000 Brits, and they asked them, about sort of how they feel about looking back to when they were younger. They found 61% of us say that they've lost their sense of fun and playfulness as they've got older. But they asked them to sort of reflect on what are the things they miss about childhood. And what people said was they came up with a whole list of them. So there's about top 40 things that Brits miss. And a lot of them are about not having responsibilities, not having worries, not having to pay bills, of course. But some of them are just really simple things like paddling in, stomping your feet in puddles and feeding the ducks at the park and maybe rolling down a grassy hill. I remember doing things like that. And I think the thing is, we all probably would enjoy those things again. But when we get older, of course, we just get bogged down by life's responsibilities and we get busy. B, we think other people are going to think we're a bit odd if we start stomping in puddles. And C, I think we just forget that actually it is okay, and not only okay, but it's actually good for us to make time to just have fun and to enjoy ourselves a little bit. So it's a lovely survey from that point of view, because it does remind us to, take enjoyment in the little things in life.
Very nice, yes. And the top 40 list is a bit extensive, but we're going to touch on a few of those bullet points briefly, shortly. And you mentioned playfulness. We kind of lose our playfulness at 23. And I googled the definition of playfulness, and according to the Oxford Dictionary of English, playfulness is a quality of being light-hearted and full of fun. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would. I think playfulness is about sort of not, it's about losing your inhibitions a little bit, not sort of being so self-conscious, maybe just following your interests, doing something for the love of it rather than because you have to do it. How much of our lives do we do things where we feel we have to go to work, we have to cook the dinner, we have to tidy up, whatever. And so it's about being able to just do something just because you want to, and with a lightheartedness to it. So yeah, absolutely.
And regarding this survey from Cadbury's, we have the most fun in our lives between the ages of 9 and 11.
Apparently so, yeah. I thought that was interesting as well. I mean, I think we have fun at all ages, but I guess around that age, you're just starting to get a little bit more independent, and so you can go where you maybe want to go a little bit more. And so that's probably why. But I think ultimately we can have fun at all stages of life, and we should have fun. It shouldn't be seen as like an indulgence or a waste of time or anything else. It's an important part of our well-being, keeping ourselves healthy by doing so.
Yes, I totally agree with you. I think the F word should be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And why does the world seem so carefree and the days go so much slower when you're young?
Well, I think one of the reasons for that is because you've got less that you need to think about and plan. So I don't know about you, but when I'm sort of going, even when I'm going for a walk, I'm often thinking, when I get back, I must do this and I must do that. And I must remember to call this person or whatever. When you're a kid, of course, you can just kind of indulge and you're in the present moment more. And when we're in the present moment, when we're being more mindful, time does seem to sort of expand a little bit. We experience that moment more fully. So I think that's part of it. And then, of course, in fact, the number one top thing that people said they miss were those long summer school holidays. And when time just seemed to stretch out ahead of you, you could do so much. And I think when you're a kid, that seems so long, of course, because proportionally it is a pretty long time when you're a child. But even now, I think many of us would just love to think we've got this huge expanse of time in front of us when we don't have to do anything and we can just kind of do whatever we want.
I think that's why people like retirement, because if the world is their oyster. They've done what they had to do and just enjoy life. Yeah, but we are talking about childhood memories and growing up. And another interesting factor grown-ups have claimed as they get older is they become less generous and less carefree.
I think probably sometimes it's just because I don't think it's that we're not generous as so much as it's that we get so busy, we get so tied up in our responsibilities, and perhaps we often sort of maybe don't think to be giving and caring to one another except on special days like someone's birthday or Christmas or something. And actually this speaks to I think why Cadbury wanted to do this survey in the first place, because they are launching a campaign. They're launching something called the Worldwide Hide. You might have seen an advert on TV about this, but basically this year for Easter they've launched this fabulous website where you can go online and you can basically hide a virtual egg anywhere in the world through the power of Google Maps, and the person that you send it to gets the kind of link, and you can set them a clue, and it's just a bit of fun. You can do the free version, which is like a virtual egg, or you can pay a small fee, and the person actually, when they find the egg, they get it sent to them in the mail, which is lovely. And they're doing this because I think these are the kinds of things that we miss from childhood, those traditions. And when you're an adult, no one tends to do that kind of thing for you anymore. So it's a lovely thing to do, to show someone that you care, send them a little bit of fun and joy in that moment. I know I would be thrilled to get that email saying someone's hidden an egg for you. You'd just be like, oh, wonderful. It's the sort of thing that only happens to kids. So I think that's a lovely idea.
Particularly with Easter coming up early April, it's something to do as well.
Absolutely.
And great. And I mentioned some of the top 40 lists. You mentioned chocolate and sweets people miss about
we love it, don't we?
Yes, and of course
I love it when someone brings me my favourite chocolate. I always think, oh, that's so sweet, and it means so much. It probably didn't cost much, but it just means a lot, doesn't it?
And of course Easter's coming up. You mentioned Easter eggs. Remember growing up, the trail hunts, making the Easter bonnets and the Easter parades, kind of getting involved with the local community as well. A few other lists as well, getting pocket money as well.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, the joy. It was only a few pence, but it felt so important when you were a kid, doesn't it?
Yeah. I remember looking in the August catalogue, having we only got about a couple of, I suppose that's quite a lot of money back in the day, but in the 90s, but a pound or £2 a week, and looking in the August catalogue, thinking I'm going to save up for that item in the toy section. And speaking of toys, toys such as teddy bears, they help us kind of keep young, don't they?
Yeah, lots of people love their teddy bears. I mean, I've still got my childhood teddy bear. I can't remember where I put it, to be fair. I think he's up in a box now. But for a long time, he sort of sat on a chair in my bedroom, I think those kinds of things you get attached to. And psychologically, we often talk about the transitional object, which is something that, children often attach to, that kind of carries them through, gives them a sense of security through the changes of childhood and the development process. And having your sort of favourite doll or favourite teddy bear, whatever, is very common attachment. Some people it's a favourite blanket or something else, but it's something that gives you comfort. And I think we do look back fondly, don't we, to a time when something like that meant so much to us, didn't it? You just had your bear and you felt everything, life was going to be okay if you've got your teddy bear.
And also another on the survey, on the list, was having someone else cook us meals, childhood favourites like waffles and beans, fish fingers and smiley faces.
Yeah, I mean, just having your mum cooking your tea, things like that. Oh my goodness, right now, wouldn't we all love that? We're all so fed up of cooking and doing so much at home and trying to get the work-life balance. What's that? So the idea that when you're younger, other people come along and look after you, it just sounds so appealing, doesn't it?
And we could go on and on for the top 40 list, but just a few more. Sleepovers, going on bouncy castles, that was 40 actually. And then getting freebies in magazines, some of the things we miss about our childhood.
Yeah, definitely. I remember that. And someone was telling me earlier that remember when you used to get like little toys in the cereal packet and you'd put your hand down the side and look to see what you'd got and things like that. Yeah.
And a couple more. Nostalgia. Why do we like nostalgia when we hear a favourite song on the radio or see something that reminds us of someone or that certain smell?
Well, often I think psychologically that's because it transports us back, acts as a sort of a trigger, an emotional memory trigger, and sort of transports us back to a time and a place when usually we were feeling a bit more carefree, and we didn't have so many worries and things like that. So I think often favorite TV shows and songs and things like that from childhood, it's because it sort of connects with your emotional brain, and suddenly you're back in that kind of same sense of joyfulness, really, that you used to get more of as a kid.
Yeah. And does having children necessarily help keep us youthful?
Well, I think many people say that it does. I mean, many people say that playing with children and having a reason to do that, it sort of brings back the magic of things like Easter and Christmas and things like that. And I think it's true because it gives you an excuse, doesn't it? It gives you an excuse to sort of do those things. You say you're doing it for the kids, but really it's a bit of fun. But I think we can all keep ourselves youthful by having that sort of spirit of fun, whether you've got children around or not. Just trying to remember to make time for fun is one of those things, and to prioritize it. Maybe we're more inclined to make time for it if we've got children around, but we should be doing that for ourselves.
And finally, when everything gets back to this new normal, do you think we will actually miss having all this precious family time?
I think it's probably going to be different for different families. I think some families have found it really, really tough, juggling, homeschooling, having to work, trying to manage all of that. Must have been really a nightmare for many families. But then other families, I think, have said, well, we've quite enjoyed having some time together. We've maybe played more traditional games. We've looked for ways to break up the monotony by sort of doing things together. We've maybe gone out for more walks. So I think it's going to be a mixed bag. But I think for most people, as much as this has been a really challenging time, there are some positive things to take away from it. You might have reassessed what's really important to you in life. I think we've all realised that we need one another. We want our connections with one another. As a society, as a community, but also individually. And we've realised as well the value of showing someone that you care, because, you know, life is short and we do need to sort of make an effort to just spend a few minutes to let someone know that we care about them.
It's true. Yes, life is very fleeting, but I suppose when you grow it up, it does seem like you don't think about mortality. But I just want to say, Honey Lancaster-James, it's been great to have you back on the show. And if there's anything else you may like to add to the interview, you know, maybe where people can get in touch with you or ask Honey. I see.
Yeah, I mean, why? Well, I think the best thing to do, is why not really go and check out the Worldwide Hide. So if you go to worldwidehide.cadbury.co.uk and think about somebody who might just want a smile on their face, and send them a virtual Easter egg. Hide it for them somewhere in the world. Maybe pick a location that's meaningful to you, or you once had a really fun holiday there or something. I think it's just a really fun thing to do to show that you care for someone.
Great, wonderful. And thanks very much, Honey Lancaster-James, talking about how families spending more time together, kind of reliving their youth, and touching on reminiscence as well. It's been a delight to have you on.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, pleasure. Thank you for having me.
See you soon. Take care.
Thanks so much.
Bye.